Hello, welcome to Ant RC. It's Terry, and I haven't done one of these videos for a while. And since when I was doing the rebuild video, if you haven't seen that, check this out. I completely stripped all the axles, rebuilt them. I promised that I would do an MC6 review. Andrew's done a review of his MC8, so we can't leave the little girl out, can we? So I'm going to talk about the positives, negatives, and then generally what I feel about the truck. Let's start about the negatives first, get those out of the way. The standard wheels, it's not really a negative really, but standard wheels and tyres, they are amazingly scale. They are really, really cool. And they look good as well. So they are, a perfect replica of what's on this real truck. But depends on how you want to use this rig. While this is going to be a review, it's also going to be helpful, hopefully, to those considering buying an MC6. If you just want to run along trails, wooded areas, light work, then that's absolutely fine. These tyres will be absolutely perfect. We tend to put these, again, if you haven't seen our videos, please check it out. We can tend to put these trucks through some serious kind of hardship and abuse, if you like. And if you want to do lots of climbing, mud work, that kind of thing, these tend to lose traction really quite quickly. They look fantastic, but they do have their limitations. Andrew and I were concerned about this from the off, and that has proved to be the case. There's nothing really wrong with them. If you want to use this truck, mainly for videos and going along through little rivers and stuff like that, they're absolutely perfect. And they are a pretty good tyre, and they look superb. So that's the first kind of thing. It's not really a negative. It really depends what you want to use them for. These are Super Swamper copies, 2.2s actually. So I'll talk about some of the upgrades I've done as well as we go through this video, and these are superb. Absolutely, and credit to Andrew, he found these and they do seem to be the best all-round tyre, summer or winter, for everything. Okay, so negatives again. Right, this in here is super, super messy. My one bugbear, well, a couple of bugbears really, about this truck is the box to put all your electrics in. Yes, it's messy. I could make it tidier. I can't be bothered. It's supposed to have a lid on here, but because of all the different bits of kit I've got going on in here, I haven't really had time to simplify it. I'd rather run it than mess around with the wiring. But this could be bigger. This isn't the best way. And the fact that under here, under the cab, that it sits in here and it sits flush, and if anything is protruding out of here, I've never been able to put the top on. I don't do that because I want to be able to get to things, tune the ESC while I'm out and about, so I've never had the top on. It's just a pain. If you've got anything that protrudes slightly, these little grommets here that the side of the bottom of the cab slot onto, if it's not flat, they don't sit right. It's a small thing, but it does irritate me slightly. I think there could be a better design of making this slightly bigger, maybe slightly longer, a different arrangement at the bottom of the cab here, because, again, you'll be horrified. It's messy as hell in here, but they could have raised the floor up here and done something with it. That would have been better, in my opinion. Again, just my opinion, but it's something that I've experienced. If you've got an ESC that has got kind of leads that come vertical from the ESC, then you're going to have a bit of trouble trying to squeeze it all in. And it does frustrate sometimes. Not that often, but it's just a little thing. Probably the major thing for me is the steering travel. I find it to be really quite lacking. You can obviously wind it up on the radio, that's fine, but even with the standard tyres on. So I know I've got 2.2s and thicker foams in here, so there's more drag and there's more kind of weight on the steering survey, if you like. But it's not about the speed, it's about the travel. Now there are dog bones in here, and there is an issue that I've got the travel on my radio up to about 90%, which is as far as I want to push it, because the end parts of the dog bones, the bits that clip into the hub or sit in the hub, they are at risk of bending or popping out. That really is the limit. And you end up having to do, 6-7 point turns sometimes. I know it's a truck, so you're not going to be expected to have brilliant turning circle, but that's certainly a clear advantage of the MC8 over this, because it's got the 2 front wheel steer. This obviously has only got 1 front wheel steering, and that I find a pain, especially if you've got a trailer on, because it will not turn very well. And I've checked all the links, everything is as per manual spec. You could just wind your steering, the servo travel on your TX and RX up, but I don't want to do that because it's likely going to break something. The drive shafts, I've had an issue with the standard drive shafts and these drive shafts. Let me turn the truck on its side for a moment. See, the original drive shafts it comes with, this is the B kit, not the C kit. They were blue drive shafts with a kind of coiled spring wire at the ends here to keep the drive shaft, the grub screw in. They started to fail, so I decided to buy these, and on a recent run out, which was on film, despite being Loctited in, both these on the front and the back came undone, and the front drive shaft just popped out. So that wasn't fantastic. Yeah, that's been a bit of an issue. That, I have to say, they are the only negatives that I have found regarding this truck, which is really quite surprising. When I bought this, Andrew and I bought ours at the same time, I expected this to be a bit of a shelf queen. It's a lot of money for this truck. I couldn't afford the MC8, so I went with the MC6, and I don't regret it for 1 second, because it's brilliant. I thought it was going to be a shelf queen, but it is far from being a shelf queen. It is absolutely incredible. The things that this truck can do in terms of climbing, traversing, descending, getting over things, there hasn't been many occasions where it's not done what I've asked it to do. It's been super impressive. I cannot fault it. And it's an unknown Cross RC. I've had lots of RC cars, trucks in my time, and I was very worried about this. And it was my first build as well. So if you're having those doubts like we had, I had some sleepless nights after I'd ordered it thinking, what if? I think really it drives so realistically, and I think that's because of the weight. It really does move smoothly. Having only got into crawlers, the last kind of 18 months or so, the way this moves, it looks so realistic. And when I go out with this and then often run the SCX or TRX4 afterwards, the TRX and the SCX feel toy-like compared to this. Just the way it runs is fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant. Can't fault it at all. So if you're worried about that and you're considering buying one of these, please don't, because there's been some hill challenges that we've done with the TSCXs and the TRX4, and the other night we went out and it was dark, so we couldn't film it, and this nasty hill that we've spent many hours trying to get up. We've succeeded with the other trucks, but this and the MC8 went straight up. Absolutely superb. If you're concerned about how this performs compared to the MC8, well, it's pretty much as good. There's one thing that it lacks, and that's the fact that the MC8's obviously got your second wheel in here. So when you're dropping off for things, It does have a tendency to catch on the gearbox that's slightly easier, but there hasn't been many occasions where this hasn't been able to do what its big brother can. It's so capable. I've absolutely hammered this. It's been through mud, it's been through water, it's been through rivers, it's been out in all weathers, freezing cold, red hot. It's been climbing, it's been hammered along. Absolutely superb. So to go on to, I have actually as well rolled this with a trailer on it quite badly. It went over twice, and it popped the windscreen out, and it also took one of these off. That was it. And it went down a big hill. I will put a link, well, I'll put a video at the end to the moment that that happened. It was very scary. I've rolled it before that as well on its own, and the windscreen popped out, and I think, and yeah, it took one of the hooks off of the back. Minimal damage. So this thing is tough as old boots. It really is very, very good. Talk about the upgrades. Holmes Hobbies 45 turn motor in there. That was come from obviously Holmes Hobbies in America, and a 1080 ESC. Now this 1080 ESC hobbering, I cannot recommend it enough. It is absolutely superb. I think it's 45 quid, I think. Get it from various retailers. Absolutely brilliant, and it runs with this truck and this motor really, really well. Now I upgraded this motor just for the sake of it, really. The standard 45 turn Cross RC motor is brilliant. Like the rest of the truck, really. It's been through lots of abuse. It's pulled lots of weight on with trailers on and loads on here, up hills, down hills. It's been used and abused, and there was nothing wrong with it when I changed it. I just fancied changing it to just see how much better this would be. And to be fair, it is better, but is it worth the expense? I'm not so sure. It's a lot smoother. It's nicer going downhill. There's a bit more control. It's a bit quieter, and the truck is faster overall, but that's not something that is necessarily a good thing. Would I do it again? Possibly not. There is definitely nothing wrong with the standard motor, and you could easily get away with 1080 ESC in here, and it runs absolutely brilliantly. So those are the upgrades for the electronic side. Again, 2.2 Chinese copy Super Swamper wheels, like the XL ones, so they're pretty large, they work really well. What I've had to do is the screw that sits here on the steering arm, I've had to reverse that. Normally the nut sits upwards, but that was catching on the tyre and was going to rip it, so we've reversed it. And the reason for the 2.2 foams is so that the tyre doesn't squish as much, and then it won't rub on it's very close, but it doesn't rub on the side of the steering arm, so it doesn't catch. So that's the reason for having harder foams, and they work quite well, it has to be said. Getting on to any other upgrades, the front springs. Now these are the yellow Cross RC front, the hardest springs you've got. This kit, the B kit, comes with the red springs, and it's got grey springs, or the original black springs on the back. The dampers are all the same. Now the reason why I put the yellow springs on, I bought a set, was because of all this gubbins in here. Light controllers and bits and pieces. I used part of the Cross RC light kit to run other bits and pieces. It needs sorting out lighting wise. I haven't really got around to it. I prefer running it than fiddling like that. This was set up so that I can run an onboard camera, get very, very good results, but obviously this weighs a bit of... I tried it with other things, lighter plastic, and it was wobbling around with the truck. This is glued in. It's quite heavy, but it's really sturdy, and it gives a fantastic view around the driver's head. If you haven't seen it, check it out on some of the videos. Really, really cool. It's a really nice view. I like it. So hence the extra weight in here. I ended up putting heavier springs on. It's a bit bouncy. It's a bit, over certain terrain, it's a bit too bouncy. But with the red springs on, it just collapsed completely and there was no suspension at all. And then the tyres would rub on the side of the cab. Breakages, I'm gonna do a quick jump cut and talk you through what I've broken. It's only one thing and it's happened very recently. But yes, I need to go and get the part so I can show you. So quick jump cut, back in a moment. Welcome back. I thought I'd kept it, the broken part, but I'd obviously binned it. Out on a run recently, again, which is on the channel. I was going along in top gear, full pelt, not really paying attention, idiot move, and I ran into a rather large tree root that had a hump on it sticking out the ground. And it hit this part of the axle and snapped it completely in half. And I carried on throttling up. I noticed it hit something, and what happened was obviously the dog bones came out, the whole side of the wheel kind of flopped down, and me driving on, not knowing it because it was coming away from me, going away from me, it bent something inside the axle. I didn't know that straight away, so what I did, got onto Green Models and got an axle housing sent. Thought I'd swap it all over. Did that, put it together, and it wouldn't turn. It kept locking up. So something inside the axle, don't know what it was, I couldn't find it, was bent, something was not happy. So I had to order an entire complete axle, which hurt quite a bit. So yeah, my mistake completely. Going flat out and hitting a tree root. So yeah, completely my fault, not the truck's fault. And to be fair, had I have hit it underneath the axle, it would have been fine. It's just because I hit it at its weakest point. Andrew reminded me again about metal axles. I don't particularly like them. I think they're too heavy, just personal preference. But it took such a whack, and the fact that it bent something inside the axle, the gears or the shafts or whatever, I'm fairly certain that if you'd have hit that on a metal axle, it would have broken something in the steering setup, steering arm. It would have done some damage, regardless of what it was. So yeah, that's the only thing that's gone wrong, and it was completely my fault. Really, the electrics I put on this, I've got this £15 RC four-wheel drive copy light bar, which is extraordinarily bright. I've got a set of LEDs that run into my RX that are on a switch, so the headlights can be turned on and off. I've got these spots which I put on and didn't really think about because I made the fatal mistake of not lining these up properly. I put this one on first, yeah, so they're for show really. A cheap kind of light kit that's got a control board at the back. It flashes and goes through cycles. And the other modification stroke upgrade I've made is to do with the tow bar mount. That for me, it screws into plastic, and when you were carrying a heavy load on the trailer, it kept popping out. So I put some longer screws and some nuts the other side and Loctited them in so they won't come out. In terms of upgrades, that's pretty much it. Am I an MC? Whoops, I just knocked the camera. Am I an MC fanboy? Yes, I am. It's got its faults and some negatives, but they're fairly minor. And we do really put these things through their paces. And if you are ever concerned about how good this would be, lashing out the money, because it is a daunting thing. This was my first build and I was really scared and thinking, oh, I just wasted all that money. And I love this truck more than any other in my fleet. Now that's a big thing to say. And this is the truck I always go to when we're going out on a run. I loathe to leave it behind. The MC6 is brilliant. I like the fact it's big, but it's not too big that it's a pain to maneuver. It looks cool, it moves cool, and it does everything that you could ask of it. And it's pretty damn tough as well. It's taken some beating through mud, water, been rolled, crashed, all sorts. So Cross RC, big thumbs up. You know, hope this video helps people if they're kind of a little bit undecided, and maybe also they want to make it more capable. If you want to make this truck more capable and climb better and do better things with it, I can definitely recommend the Super Swamper tyre copies. You can get them on eBay, they're really cheap. Stick them on a set of metal rims. They don't look scale, obviously, not like the real tyres that come with the kit, but they really do enhance the performance. They are absolutely brilliant. I cannot stress enough, you know, how capable they make this truck. So that's it really. I love it, unless you couldn't tell already. It's absolutely brilliant, and equally as is the MC8. There's not much the MC8 can do that this can't. If there's one thing I would improve and change straight away, it would be improving the lock on the steering. I am loath to turn up the travel anymore on the radio because I don't want to start breaking things again. And it's just a minor, well, say minor, maybe a medium to major inconvenience in my opinion. Just when you're in a tight space, especially when you've got the trailer on, it can be a bit of a pain. But yeah, that's it for now. That's my honest review. Hope you like it. We got some cool stuff coming. We're going up to Wheelspin Models on Saturday, the 22nd, so this coming Saturday. Please wait for the vlog because we're going to do something really cool and buy something new and very different. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and any questions, comments, put them below and I will answer them as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.